Good morning, guys. Today, our lesson is going to be about polygons, lines, and angles, which we learned about in class, and there's a lot of information here. So make sure as you're doing the lesson, the images that I post at the top, you should probably be scrolling up to look at the image, down to answer the question, going back up to look at the images, down to answer the question, because those are the anchor charts from the classroom that are going to help you to do a great job in this lesson. Okay, let's take a look. So when we started learning about polygons, lines, and angles, we learned about different types of shapes. One of the types of shapes we learned about, like a family sort of shapes or a club, was called the plane shapes club, right? Plane shapes include all kinds of things that we don't even think about as a shape, right? And the rules to get into the plane shapes club are very loose. Basically, anybody can come in, okay? You just have to be 2D, which means what? Two-dimensional or flat, okay? You can be an open shape or a closed shape. You can have curved paths. You know what a curved path is, right? A curve is like a line that bends, okay? Or line segments, which are straight lines. So all of these shapes are plane shapes, right? This is the club anybody can get into, including stuff that we don't even think of as a shape, okay? And after we learned about plane shapes, we learned about I said it was like a VIP club, okay? Polygons, right? Polygons. I squeezed it in there. Polygons, right? And this was like a VIP club, okay? Very important plane shapes only can get into this club. Not just anybody can come in. Okay, flat shapes, that's still a requirement to get in, but no more open shapes allowed. Okay, and no more curved paths allowed. Okay, so polygons, this is a stricter club. Okay, not all of the plane shapes can get in, only if you're 2D, a closed shape, and made of line segments. So flat, closed, and made of line segments. So let's take a look at these shapes and see if they can get in. Is this shape able to get into the polygon club? No, it's not, right? Because it's an open shape, which means, right, if you stick like a bug in there, it could fly out. It's made of curved paths. So this is not allowed in the polygons club. Okay, what about this guy? Does this follow the rules of the polygons club? Is it flat? Yes. Is it closed? Yes. Is it made of straight line segments? Yes. This is a polygon. Okay, what about this guy? Allowed in the club? Is it flat? Yes. Is it closed? Yes. Is it made of straight line segments? No. This is a circle-ish, not a perfect circle. And it's made of curved paths, so it's not allowed. Okay? Here we have the letter A. The letter A can't come in because even though it's flat and part of it is closed, this part's closed, right? If we stuck a little bug in there, it couldn't escape. This part of the shape is open. Okay, so we're going to say no, you may not enter the polygons club. Okay, then we have what looks like a capital letter D, and this guy is not allowed because he has curved paths. And then we have this shape. Is it flat or 2D? Yes. Is it closed? Yes. Is it made of straight line segments? Yes, it follows all three rules. So these two are the only two polygons shown here. Now, as you guys learned about in class, there's actually a lot of different polygons, right? And we name polygons according to the number of angles and sides that they have. And I don't have the names of every polygon listed here, right? When we were in my class, we talked about how there was even a polygon that has 100 sides and 100 angles. And I don't remember what it was called, but it had like a really long name like decatoncohedron or something, right? So polygons are named for their sides and their angles. If you have 3 sides and 3 angles, you're called a triangle, and you might look like this or this, okay? Now, if you have 4 sides and 4 angles, you're called a quadrilateral, and I think you guys might remember there's many different types of quadrilaterals, okay? And they have many different names: rectangle, rhombus, trapezoid, square. So we're going to talk a lot about quadrilaterals tomorrow, I believe. But if you're a 5-sided shape with 5 angles, you're called a pentagon. 6 is hexagon. and 8 is octagon. And of course, you can make different shapes than this. This isn't the only type of hexagon. This is just the type of hexagon I happen to make, right? So these are some of the names. There's also, if you have 7 sides and angles, you're called a heptagon. 9 is a nonagon. 10 is a decagon. So a lot more than is listed here, but this is all you need to know for today. Okay. Now, shapes are made of lines and angles, right? And there's different words to describe those lines and angles. So something similar to this is posted in the lesson, but just a quick review. Okay, these are some of the different lines you'll see. And sometimes you'll see the lines like this, where it's just like 2 lines floating in space, touching each other or not touching each other. But sometimes they'll ask you to look at the lines within a shape. Like, see the red lines highlighted here, or the green lines highlighted there, or the blue lines there, okay? Those lines also can have a relationship of parallel, intersecting, or perpendicular. Parallel lines are lines that will never meet, and I always, in class, we would say, like, what if you had 2 people driving a car down these red lines, like, and they kept going and going and going and going and going? Would they ever crash into each other if they kept going on those 2 roads? No, they wouldn't, right? So that means that these 2 red lines are parallel, okay? Parallel lines never cross, never touch, never meet, no matter what, even if they keep going into infinity, okay? Now, intersecting lines do cross or touch. Any 2 lines that cross or touch, or any lines that will cross or touch. Like if you look at the 2 lines on this trapezoid, right? If you had 2 cars and they were driving on this line and on this line, what would happen eventually? Boom, 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 boom. If they keep going, eventually they're going to crash, right? So sometimes intersecting lines are touching within the shape at that moment, and sometimes it just looks like if they kept going, eventually they would touch, okay? Now, perpendicular lines are like a very special type of intersecting line. Perpendicular lines are intersecting. Are you hearing me on that? That's important. They do intersect. So lines can be both intersecting and perpendicular. Intersecting lines are also perpendicular if they cross or touch and form right angles. That's the key word here. So perpendicular lines are just like intersecting lines, but more, okay? These are intersecting lines that make a right angle. See that little orange square? You guys remember that this little square means that a right angle is formed? Okay, for example, in a rectangle, these 2 blue lines, they cross and touch just like here. So these blue lines are intersecting, but they are also perpendicular because they form a right angle. Okay, and technically all of the lines, these here form a right angle, these form a right angle, these form a right angle, those form a right angle. That's why we call it a rectangle. And then here, just, real basic is your angles. Acute, this is a cute little angle. It's a little squished up. It's not as big as a right angle, right? And we learned about fill, how like if you remember drawing the little man. If we draw the little man Phil in this angle, he'd be all squished up and uncomfortable. So that's a cute little angle. Then we have a right angle. Okay, these are just right. They're the perfect angle. Okay, perfectly straight up and down, perfectly horizontal, and they make a little space where if Phil were to sit here, the little man, that he would sit up nice and straight and tall. And you can see an example of that in this square, just like you could see an example of the acute angle in the trapezoid. Okay, and then finally we had an obtuse angle. This is a big, large, fat angle, okay? And it stretches way out. It's much bigger, much more space in between the 2 lines than the right angle. And you can see an example of it here in the rhombus, okay? So good luck on today's lesson. Take your time and make sure you're using those anchor charts in the lesson to help you, okay? Have a great morning.